Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Star Trek Gangut. Gangut is a tabletop role playing game that uses the Star Trek Adventures rule set. We are set in the year 2385 aboard a Constitution, or sorry, 2285 aboard a Constitution class refit. If you can't stick around or otherwise have to leave mid session, don't worry, you can catch this and all future VODs on my YouTube channel. Other than that, I don't really have much to say, so let's just go around and have everyone introduce themselves. So let's start with the captain.
Hello, my name is Gerardo, and my moniker is Greater Gerardon. I am playing Captain Caetano Deca. He is an Argentinian human, and he's happy to be here.
Very nice. Next up, we have our first officer.
Yep. So my name is Jerome. I'm playing Commander Sovok, and you can see me on Twitch if I ever do stream, which is never, at SA_Jerome.
All right. Up next, we have, I believe, our science officer.
Hello, everyone. I am Talon. I am playing Lieutenant Talkov Odd, the cybernetics science officer. Aurelian. You can find me on Twitter at Captain Talon 447, on Discord as Captain Talon 447. Just look for the little penguin icon. I am usually frequently around the Clear Skies Discords and around some Overwatch League Discord servers as well.
Very nice. Up next, we have our chief engineer.
Hello, I go by Deca, and today, or not today, hopefully more times, I'm playing our chief engineer, Lieutenant Junior Grade, Fig von Slaal, also just Fig for short. She's the fresh-faced engineer, and also, most importantly, a Tellarite.
Alrighty. And up next, we have our chief of security.
All right. I'm Ben. I'm going to be playing Lieutenant Junior Grade Ashrakath Ash Thikaner. He's an Andorian, and like Fig, he's also fresh-faced to the ship.
And then certainly last but not least, we have our intelligence officer.
Yes. Hi, I'm Zach. I'm going to be playing Ensign Warren Van Ram, and I am also happy to be here. So, yeah.
All right. And with introductions out of the way, let's go ahead and run our introduction. Welcome back. So, something I like doing for all my Star Trek Adventures game is having the players prepare an opening monologue in the classic captain's log or personal log fashion. And today we have, as expected, a captain's log. So, Captain Deca, if you would be so kind.
Right away. Captain's log. Stardate 29982.1. It's been a week since Gangut has left the dry docks, but it still feels like it was just yesterday. Our shakedown cruise was mostly uneventful, with some minor complications here and there. The crew is still trying to learn how to work together, but this was expected given the plurality of the races and cultures aboard this ship. They will have to learn quickly, however, as we have received a distress call from a planet called Riku, an independent Saurian colony beyond the Federation border. We've been contacted by their planetary governor, Trumshay, who is requesting assistance with a natural disaster endangering the planet's cities. Although she was very vague about the specifics of said disaster, she made it clear that over 8 million colonists' lives are at stake. I can't help but feel that there's something more to it, something she's not saying. Saurians are famously proud and self-reliant, so she might be only too embarrassed to ask for help. Either way, we'll soon find out.
Alrighty. So, our first scene is going to be on the bridge of the Gangut. And what we're going to see is that most everybody is at their posts. Obviously, the one missing is Lieutenant Junior Grade Fig. You're in engineering at the moment. But we have, of course, Commander Savak, Thakaner, Captain Deka, Van Ram, Talcath, and everything's going well. You're currently still at warp. Your ETA to the system is approximately 5 minutes. And I thought I'd give you guys this little opportunity to throw in a little bit of role play before I started throwing handouts at you.
Captain, permission to hail, seeing as how we're 5 minutes out.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Lieutenant.
Mm-hmm. Let's send out a hail to the Saurian planet. This is Science Officer. This is Science Officer Lieutenant Talcaf of the U.S.S. Gangut. We have received your message. We are en route about 5 minutes.
Okay. And because I think it is a good experience and a good way to get you guys some momentum, we're going to make this an actual roll. So you are going to be rolling a control engineering. And if someone could get the ship will be rolling a communications and engineering. The difficulty is 0. So as many successes you get is how much momentum you get.
I got the ship.
No focuses, so 2 successes.
All right, let's see what the ship gets you. All right, no help from the ship, but hey, 2 successes means 2 momentum. You do get a reply, and the reply is a very frantic sounding Saurian. And to put it bluntly, they appear to be stressed. As in, when they come on screen and you see their egg-shaped reptilian head and the pink skin and the bulbous yellow eyes, the default look for a Saurian is a surprised expression. But again, even without knowledge of Saurian facial features, you can tell that they are very stressed. But where this is all going is when it comes up on the view screen, Governor Tarum Shea looks around and says, Captain, happy you called. We have a situation. We need you to come here and open fire on a creature. There's no time to explain.
Are the communications open?
Yeah, communications. You can reply.
I'm gonna reply. I'm sorry, but that is not how we do things. We can try to communicate with that creature before, or you can try to explain the situation, but we are not open firing on your word.
And, her eyes narrow just a little bit. And she says, you don't understand. There's no time to... And then the hail, the open channel, cuts off abruptly.
Lieutenant, what happened?
Try to rehail again.
They are not responding.
Captain Chunshe has cut communication. I am not able to reopen any lines back.
on screen. Is the planet around?
I would say at this point, you're dropping out of warp and appearing on the view screen, and I'll actually switch over so you can see the planet. Appearing on the view screen is a smaller Class M planet that is around a Type K red dwarf star. But if you want any additional information besides that, you're going to have to do a sensor scan.
Science. Could you
How
please scan the planet? And Commander, do you have any knowledge of this culture? Do you know anything about them, possibly?
So just a mechanical question.
Mhm.
It's just up to me to decide if I do, or is that something that you want me to roll for?
I would say that my style of GMing is I do the yes and. So if you want to say you have knowledge of it and make something up, go right ahead. If you also would like me to make something up for you, I can do that too. Or if you just want to say nope, that's okay too.
No, I got this. So Sovak turns in his chair to the captain and says, "Well, I did have a rather unsatisfactory stint with a Saurian roommate at Starfleet Academy, Captain. But beyond that, I have no particular familiarity with this species."
Okay. Thank you, Commander.
I can also tell you that they are also pretty stubborn patients as well. Anyways, I would like to at least attempt to scan for this creature, whatever it is that is terrorizing them at the moment.
Very good. So this is going to be a reason science for you. If you have sensor operation or anything similar, that would apply as a focus. The ship will assist you with a sensors science, and the difficulty on this is only a 1.
Okay.
All right, that's another 2 successes so far. Very nice. See if the ship gets you anything.
And the ship has advanced sensor suites.
Well then it's a difficulty of 0, even better. Interesting. So you do get your 2 momentum, so you're up to 4, but there's a complication.
I thought you said it was difficulty 1.
Yes.
That's why I only took 1 extra momentum.
Correct, but as the captain pointed out, you have advanced sensor suites, which reduces any sensor tasks down by 1. So it's a difficulty of 0, therefore 2 successes is 2 momentum.
Okay.
But I am going to give you access to a handout, and you may feel free to disseminate that information as you wish. But while they're reading, what happens is that they, of course, run the sensor scan. They're reading through data, and then all of a sudden, down in engineering, Sol or Fig, you're noticing that there is a sudden power loss to the lateral sensor arrays. And probably, one of those things where it just hasn't come out in shakedown yet. In order to get those arrays back up, it's going to take at least a few days worth of work.
Muted.
Oh, no, I'm here. See here. So
I'm gonna hail the captain.
Okay.
And tell him that, hey, I probably should have seen this in a test I was running just like a couple days ago, but the ship is still struggling with some components, and it's gonna take a couple of days to fix that.
I'm sorry, what happened, Lieutenant?
What were the parts again?
They're basically the lateral sensor array. If you want to get more specific, feel free to hit the Technobabble button and make it up.
You're muted, Lieutenant.
Yeah, you did mute yourself.
Lieutenant, you have to press the communication, Lieutenant.
You are muted.
Lieutenant Fig, open your communicator, please.
Can you not hear me?
We can
Now
now.
that's better.
Oh,
Yep, now we
Zoom. Yeah, for some reason it wasn't unmuting me. So I'm trying to redirect. Actually, hang on a second. I'm gonna redirect the polynodal radion harmonic dampeners. Just give me a couple of seconds.
Yeah, and let's have you do a roll. Do me a control and a engineering difficulty of 1.
Meanwhile, Tekaner, can you try hailing them again?
Do that, Captain.
All right, so let's break this down. All right, so Slaw, yeah, I would say you actually get a point of momentum as you are able to redirect the harmonic dampener, and sensors are back up and running. But before we do another hail, I believe your science officer has some things to tell you.
Oh,
Yes, sir. Captain Riku is an M-class planet. Planet where the relatively dim light is tolerable for the nocturnal saurian's large, sensitive eyes. There are currently 6 cities: New Vernaf, which is the capital; New Aclero, Kochi, Akado, Akonant, and Imodus, as well as various smaller habitations on its largest landmass. According to the seismic scans, we're detecting highly localized seismic disturbances at various points of the planet. Not very intense with seismic activity, but pinpoint focused and apparently moving. One such pinpoint is moving straight towards Kochi, one of the major cities, and 2 of the others, and several smaller habitations. Mining camps, power plants, and the like show significant damage. Actually, with that, could I use Studious?
Actually, as science officer, you get a free question to begin with, but you also have Studious, so you get 2 free questions.
Is there any correlation on why they would want why this creature will want to attack some of these power plants?
I would say that there is not enough information to gather that at the moment. You've only gotten sort of orbital scans of the supposed creatures. I would say you would understand that something about their makeup is making it very hard to distinguish the creatures from the surrounding mountains and the surrounding rocks.
Okay. And let's see here. For my second question, what is the relative technology level of this Saurian civilization that we have so far?
That would be about the same as it would be anywhere else in the Federation at this time. So 2285, standard colonies, nothing too super fancy. They probably have a few reactors of their own that are powering everything. They maybe have some limited spaceflight capability. For the most part, they are a blossoming colony. About 8 million people. So.
Okay. Captain, I was trying to draw some correlation, at least trying to figure out if there was some reason this creature would want to attack the power plants, but until we actually go down there, we won't have any determination, and until we can assess the damage ourselves and see if what this creature exactly is wanting to feed off of.
Are you sure that the center of the tremors is the creature they have been reporting?
Well, put it this way, with the way that the seismic activity is, it's not intense enough to indicate any sort of tectonic shift at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But it is move. But with the way that the pattern is, we could indicate some sort of movement that is registering. So we can't. So there is some assumption that yes, this is a creature of significant size.
Okay, yeah, that was my follow-up question. What is the size of this thing? Commander, do you feel it's advisable that we take a landing party down there? Because
Yeah, I think barring communications with the surface via subspace, the only prudent course of action would be to establish contact in person. I, of course, volunteer to lead the away team, Captain.
Captain, I would also implore that at some point we would at least need to assess some of the injuries that some of the Saurians may have experienced, if there's any that we can at this moment.
And I would argue that you are the best suited to evaluate and assess this creature. So yeah, Commander Salvak, Lieutenant Talkath Ad, and I'd say Thakaner, would you mind beaming down to the surface? Possibly down to the government and trying to open communications with them through there. We'll try hailing them again.
Hi, Captain.
And
Once, Captain.
and Captain, as a reminder, Lieutenant Tallcalf would work. Odd is the family name.
Sorry?
Odd is the sort of the surname in your language. So.
Oh, okay. So Lieutenant Ad. Lieutenant Ad.
Lieutenant Tallcalf is fine, sir.
Okay, so I'll deal with you on a first name basis. And I expect the same treatment for all of you. Now, to the transporter room 3, please.
Commander Sovak clears his throat a bit on the first name basis comment, but doesn't say anything.
Fair enough. Now, I do have a very important question out of character. So I have Savak, I have Thakaner, I have Talkath. Anybody else going down on the away team?
I will send my supporting character, which is Lieutenant Nuri Pugal. She's a trill engineer and she knows her way in con, which might be helpful.
Anyone else going down? And it's okay if not. I just like to give people the opportunity to, throw a supporting character in if they so wish.
Ensign, would you mind manning up the science station, please?
I captain, and then I'll go to the science station.
Okay. So, we have a very brief scene where we see the away team beaming down, and as they materialize, they end up being in what is actually a rather, shall we say, pleasant, large city. As you can see, there are a large number of advanced towering skyscrapers, but it's done in a way that sort of integrates with the natural environment. And although the image I have on screen doesn't have it at the moment, if you will imagine sort of interweave swaths of parkland and canals that give the city a very lush, very green appearance. And you're even seeing that there's these bioluminescent plants and swarms of insects that sort of illuminate the darker areas of the city. But as the four of you land in the city, or not land, but transport into the city, two immediate things catch your attention. The first is that the populace is panicking. They're running away from something, and basically a tornado siren-like alarm is sounding. And the reason for that is something that is actually very apparent. You look to the south towards the waterfront of the city, and what you see is a towering behemoth made out of rock. And I'm going to show you, this should show to everyone. But what you're seeing is a quadruped made out of living rock that is proceeding towards the city at a rapid pace, and it is massive. This is easily larger than the Gangut even.
Lieutenant Talcath, can you take an energy reading and see from which direction the city's power plant is?
Yes, Commander. I will go ahead and do that.
Okay.
In the meantime, Lieutenant Thakaner, do you see anybody around who is wearing a security uniform of some type? I'd like to get a little bit more information from the security personnel as to what they were informed about this crisis.
All right, Lieutenant the Canner starts looking around. Is there anybody that would stand out as a security or someone of that was like a police force?
There would be, but let's take it in order of operation. So first, Talcath, you are rolling to see where the power plant is. Give me a reason science difficulty of 1. All right, 2 successes. You get a momentum. Yes, the power plant is on the northern side of the city, pretty much the other side of the city from where the rock beast is approaching. Now to Thakaner, I'd like you to roll me a insight security to see who you pick up. This will also be at a difficulty of 1.
Constantly watching come into play?
It would.
So that reduces the difficulty.
Hey, difficulty 0 then. All right. So you still succeed, just no momentum. Yeah. In fact, you quite easily catch sight of several individuals in what would be the equivalent of Saurian armor. They are running with basically these large sticks that glow on one end. They're running towards the beast, towards the south. And after a few moments, you're even seeing that coming behind them are what are essentially these crude, almost tank-like designs that are hovering above the ground and proceeding in that direction.
Commander, looks like we got some security forces heading towards the creature. Should we try and intercept?
They seem to also be mechanized. That tells me a thing or two about how often or how prepared they were for this incident. I suspect that there might be something going on that we haven't been told by the governor. So we know that the power plant is in the north, and is this thing just like it's actively coming towards the city from the south, like towards the north, or is it just sort of meandering?
You got it. It is headed towards the city, and as it gets closer and closer, with each step, the ground shakes just a little bit more.
Commander, we're not equipped nor really able to take on something in that magnitude, unless we can find out some more information about what this actually is. We should at least take some time to go talk to find the governor first.
Yes, I would concur with that. I tend to think, however, that time is of the essence. Can I make like a mental estimation of how long it might take this thing to get like into the city?
I'll give it to you free. Got about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I suspect we have roughly 10 minutes to find our information, so we best make haste towards the city hall or government compound.
Can we try and catch up to the security forces and ask if they've got a specific like comm channel or maybe a spare communication array that we could access?
Yeah, so you flag down a purple-hued saurian, and they look at you very concerned and say, "What do you want? Do you not see it? We have bigger problems to deal with right now."
That's what we're here for. We are from the U.S.S. Gangut, and we are replying to the governor's distress call. We were in communication with the governor, but the communique dropped out. We were wondering if you had a way to get a faster communication.
And as you can see, officer, it is of the utmost importance.
I suppose I could give you the military channel, but the general isn't going to like that one bit. He doesn't really like, no offense, he doesn't like outsiders. But you said you came here in a ship. Don't you have phasers, tractor beams, something that could scare that away?
Any heavy weaponry that we would employ from orbit might risk damaging the city further.
Well, I mean, if you don't do anything, it's... Look at it!
I did not imply that we are doing nothing, sir. And then I think, we might want to pursue other ways of getting to the governor. I'm going to flip open my communicator and call the ship.
Yep. Ship, you get the hail.
Captain, we're
Go ahead,
receiving-
Commander.
Captain, this is Sovak on the surface. I don't know if you can see what we are seeing currently, Captain, but the creature is absolutely massive, far larger than the ship. And we made contact with the local security forces, but they were not particularly helpful in getting us a line on the governor. Could you provide us with some sort of direction to the main government complex on this planet? It will definitely be faster than asking.
Okay, I'll try, Commander. Any luck finding out if this creature is alone?
I turn to Talkath. Did your sensor sweep from the ship detect any other creatures in the vicinity of the city, or just this one?
Sorry, just bring back my scan too. So far, all I found is just one at this moment.
Mm-hmm. It seems to be only the one, Captain.
But that one is already going to be quite a handful as it is.
Thank you, Commander. I will try to. Ensign,
Yes.
do you know? Can you figure out where the government facility is located?
Can I make a scan?
You certainly can.
Excellent.
Let's have you do a reason and command. Difficulty of 1.
Okay. So that's 1d20 for the dice pool?
2d20 by default.
Right. Okay. Cool. Would cultural studies be an applicable focus?
Most definitely it would.
Cool.
Ooh, interesting.
Ooh.
So, remember how there was that complication with the sensors before? Apparently, there's something more going on there. Because when you run a sensor scan and try to get a lay of the land, you don't get a scan coming back on your terminal. You get a recipe for souffle.
Well, Captain, not to be snarky or anything in this very dire situation, but I can make you a killer souffle.
Well, good thing I actually like souffle, Ensign.
But that being said, our sensors have a problem. It's probably at a higher risk than it was before. So that being said, I couldn't find the Capitol or government building or anything.
Okay. Commander, we are trying to figure out where the government might be located because the hit to our scanners was harder than expected. I will get back to you with that information. Meanwhile, you can try pursuing that on the surface.
In that moment, if I hear this go, Warren, could you also bookmark that recipe for later?
Yes,
Uh, Captain, bridge to engineering.
Yep, I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm gonna speak frankly. I am as deep in some really, really complicated machinery right now. What's happening?
I understand, Lieutenant, but I need your assistance. Do you think we can lock on a tractor beam to that creature and at least slow it down so that we can have a chance to understand what's happening here?
That sounds very interesting.
Dangerous.
Yeah. You know, give me a couple seconds, and I'll take a look at the neutrino units and get back to you.
Okay, remember that we not only have to increase the range, but also the strength. That creature is bigger than Gangut.
Oh, wow. Okay. Got it, Captain. I'll get right on that.
Thank you, engineering. I want to try to hail someone, try to get in the military communications.
Okay. I will make this a bit more difficult than just opening a channel. Let's have Mr. Van Ram, since you are currently on the bridge, let's have you make this roll.
Okay.
Let's have you do a control and engineering. The ship will assist with a communications and engineering. And oh, go ahead.
I would say that he should use momentum.
Okay.
We have 4 momentum at this moment, so
Okay.
Yeah, it would be difficulty 3 task. So spending momentum is something you might want to do.
given that I had done an existing hail to the governor before, could I be able to assist in that and be able to sort of help him guide to an efficient channel that would get him in?
I would say that you could assist him, so you would be rolling 1d20.
Okay.
So you could assist him, yeah.
Okay.
And what would that be?
Control engineering for you as well.
Control.
Oh, and
so
the
I don't
ship
have
is
to,
communications engineering for the ship.
Okay, I will roll the ship.
I do have an applicable focus in computers, if that helps.
Yeah, I'll let it happen.
Yeah. So do I just select more d20s or?
Well, it depends on how many additional dice you want.
Right.
So, for example, if you want to roll 3d20, you would have to give me 1 momentum. If you want to roll 4d20, you have to give me 3 momentum total. If you want to roll 5d20, you have to give me 6 momentum total, which you don't have at the moment, but you still could do by giving me 4 momentum and 2 threat.
Right. Okay. I think I'll just buy an extra d20.
Okay.
So roll 3d20.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 3 momentum now.
Yep.
And then let's see here. Would cultural studies again be an applicable focus, or?
Yeah, I would say that could apply.
Cool.
All right. Well, with the assistance from Talcath, yeah, you are able to get into a military channel. And what you're hearing is a bunch of crosstalk of basically artillery and people on the ground setting up ways to perhaps futilely get the creature to turn around. But based on the conversations you're hearing, they're not very hopeful. In fact, this is almost like a last-ditch effort to do something.
Right. Okay. Right. So, Captain, I've picked up transmission on the hail. It does not sound good.
Can we transmit on the channel, Ensign?
Yes. And
Ensign, sorry.
Yeah.
Warren, our first name is Warren, right?
Yes.
Okay, Warren. Transmit this.
All right.
This is the captain of the U.S.S. Gangut. We are trying to aid you, but we need communications with the surface. Please respond.
Cool. I transmit that down to the surface.
Mm-hmm. And you actually get a visual reply. And appearing on screen is a very annoyed, very grumpy-looking Saurian. They have a lighter purple hued skin. And in general, they're wearing a uniform that would suggest that they are of higher rank. But as they look at you, they almost sneer, almost hiss as they say, "So Starfleet has decided to finally come help us. Don't worry, we can handle this on our own."
Did you
It
buy
doesn't
the
look
magnitude
like
of
it,
the?
General. I'm sorry, but we are here to help.
Well, if you want to help, do something with that ship of yours to get this creature out of here.
I will, but I have to understand why it's attacking you.
Listen, I'm a general. I don't have time for this.
Then get me the government.
As far as you're concerned, I am the government at the moment.
Then, General, I'll have to deal with you, despite you being neck deep in this. I am here to help, and I'm extending a hand. Do you want it?
Then I will repeat what I said. Do something about that creature, and then we can talk.
It's not like that, General. We don't do something and then talk. We first talk and then realize what we actually need to do. So then, what is this creature? Why is it attacking you? When did this happen? How did this first occur?
And those of you on the surface and in the background of the general, you not only feel a very hard tremor as the creature begins to get to the outskirts of the waterfront, but behind the general, things begin to shake on the walls, fall off shelves, things of that nature. And the general goes, "Okay, fine. You don't want to help us. We'll deal with this on our own. We'll just be sending the bill to Starfleet to fix our city, as per usual." And then the general cuts communications.
I wish it didn't come to this. Let's try the tractor between them. I think it's risky, but we might have to take this ship into the atmosphere. I hope you're good at con, Ensign. We're gonna need it.
Great.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Since we're on the ground and we actually are able to see this in person, looking at this picture, like I see something on its head. Does that seem like a possible focus for any attack?
I would say that that is a possibility, but you would have to get, shall we say, very direct and very close to the creature to understand what it is. Not just because TOS tricorders are very limited in range, but it also is just simply too far away for you to do anything but a visual inspection.
So does the ground team see Gangut starting to make its way in?
Well, that is my question. So, Captain, what is the order that you give?
Ensign, take us into the atmosphere near the creature. Bridge to
Okay.
engineering. Lieutenant, prepare to engage tractor beam at full strength. We're gonna pull this creature away from the city, but I don't wanna harm it. It's important. I don't wanna harm it. I just wanna restrain it for a bit until we actually understand what's happening.
Understood, Captain. Do we have any measurements, like anything to go of, like size-wise?
Well, I will send you the scans once we get near it.
Thank you, Captain.
U.S.S. Gangut to awaiting.
Commander Sovak here.
Commander, we are going to attempt to hold the creature at bay for a bit using the tractor beam. That will take a toll on the ship. But
Captain, are you insinuating that you're bringing the ship into the atmosphere?
that's right, Commander.
Captain, need I remind you of Starfleet Regulation 457-329? No vessel of Silhouette 4 or whatever size our ship is to enter a planetary atmosphere.
I understand that, Commander, but I'd rather endanger the ship than the creature at this point in time. We have no idea what the creature is, and we bought in this. We bought into this. We signed up for Starfleet, and we knew what we were dealing with. On the surface, I will need you to get near the creature in some way and possibly understand what it is. Why is it coming? And I don't know, maybe some tractor beam enhancers near the creature to set up a field. I'm not sure. Lieutenant Talkoth is with you. He probably has some more idea on what to do. I wish you well.
Affirmative, Captain. We'll do what we can from here. Away team out.
All right. So let's break down the whole going into the atmosphere and tractor beaming the rock beast. So, Ensign Van Ram, you're at the helm, so you get to make this roll. You're going to be rolling a daring and a con. The difficulty was originally going to be a 2. However, they have this nifty thing called threat. I'm going to spend some threat to make it a difficulty of 3.
Ooh.
And the ship will assist you with an engine's con. Actually, let's do a
Can I assist
structure
with
con.
command?
If you tell me how you're assisting.
That's a good question. I thought just giving the order was okay, but I have to be in his neck saying to the right, to the left.
Well, you know, it's I do it that way because you could just, as the captain, just say, "Hey, do this," and that would count it as an assist. But the way I like doing it is like, how are you assisting? Like, are you literally just ordering him? Are you over his shoulder providing advice? Things of that nature.
Okay, good question. Then I am assisting him with this. I am taking the other lieutenant out of the other count chair, sitting down, nodding at ensign and saying, "Let's bring this ship about."
Yes.
All right. So, Captain,
All right.
you are also rolling a daring and con because you're assisting. You are only rolling the 1 die.
Okay.
So,
And does astronavigation count as assist? I don't use focus at all.
No, you actually do get focuses on assists.
Okay, so astronavigation or starship tactics?
I'll give it to you. Yeah.
Okay.
cool. Let's see. Can I use some points of momentum for an extra d20?
We have 3. We have 3 momentum. We can't use it.
Cool.
How much do you need?
Just 1.
Just 1. Okay, we're down to 2 momentum.
Let's see here. Would team dynamics work as a focus in this situation?
Because the captain's assisting you, I'll allow it.
Cool, yo.
Interesting.
Do I have to roll the ship?
Yeah, the ship does need to roll. They're doing a structure con.
Okay, structure con, and it has improved hull integrity and rugged design. I am gonna check those.
All right. So you did pass. You did get the 3 successes you need. So you are working together, able to bring the Gangut into the atmosphere and getting it to more or less hover above the beast. However, that complication is going to be that as you do so, as the Gangut enters the atmosphere, showers of sparks and, of course, the regulation rocks that are in every bulkhead begin spraying out. You know, rocks begin falling everywhere, sparks begin shooting out of consoles, and your ship is actually going to take some damage for this. So let me roll. All right, so what's going to happen is that based on your, descent into the atmosphere, a few hull breaches open up and otherwise damage your structure. Now, structure is important because I now have to roll a challenge die, and if I roll an effect, somebody is injured. A named character is injured.
Okay, but we do have improved hull integrity, which raises our resistance. Does that matter anyway? In any way?
Not for this task. Now, if you were actually being shot with by a weapon, yes, the added resistance would apply. But because this is you entering an atmosphere, this isn't the planet attacking you. This is, you are literally just flying into the atmosphere kind of a thing. But the good news, I didn't roll an effect, so just basically sparks and rocks. That's all you got to worry about. So we have the Gangut, and those of you on the ground team can look and see that the Gangut, with a few holes in it, maybe a few scorch marks on the hull, comes in over the creature, and a tractor beam engages. So Fig, this is now going to be your task since you're running the tractor beam. You're going to be rolling a control and a security, and the Gangut will assist you with a structure security. The difficulty will be a 3.
Would perhaps composure apply now that things are like sparks are flying and a lot of things are happening?
Yeah, I'd let it happen.
Keep focused.
And then we still need the ship, yeah?
Yeah, so the ship is a structure and a engineering.
What's the difficulty?
Oh, right. I know I was forgetting something. Difficulty of 3.
Oh, okay. That's important because me as captain, I'm saying bridge to engineering. Now is the time, Lieutenant. Engage the tractor beam, and I'm sending my determination towards her way.
Okay.
Is that possible?
It is. So let's talk a little bit about determination. So at the start of every session, every player gets what's called a point of determination. And determination is important because it allows you to do 2 very important things. Or there's more, but for this, you just need to know 2 things. The first is if you spend a determination before any rolling is done, you can start with 2 free successes. So for example, if you spend your determination before the roll, you would start it with 2 successes. You would only need to roll 1 more in this instance. The other use for determination is to re-roll dice after dice have been rolled, and you can re-roll as many as you want that are your dice. So you can't roll like an assist die or the ship's die, but you could re-roll any of your dice. Now the caveat to this is in order to use that determination, you have to call upon one of your character's values.
But me or her?
She would have to call upon one of her values. But Captain, let me ask this while she's looking at those. Do you have the talent veteran?
Yes.
Then you need to roll a challenge die to see if you basically get your determination right back.
Because I already did the control security roll.
I'll say for this instance, if you want to count it as... Okay, so unfortunately the captain doesn't get back. I'll say for this instance, if you want to count the determination as having being spent, we can give you the 3 successes you need.
Okay, yeah.
Because again, learning, we make mistakes, Just moving forward, remember that in order to do it, you have to do it. But what value are you calling into play is my question.
I guess I would, because I have a value holds everyone to the highest standard. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it would be natural if this being our first mission, I would hold myself to kind of a higher standard. Mm-hmm. Even higher than usual, perhaps.
Yeah, I like it. So, we see a blue shimmering.
We still need the ship's roll.
Yes, we do need the ship roll still.
You said it was what was it again?
Structure engineering.
Structure engineering. Submit. Is that no focuses?
The ship always has a focus.
Oh, it does. Yes. Okay. So submit.
Okay. Nothing. No complications. Ooh. So we're good. So coming out of the ship is a beam of blue light, of shimmering light that envelops the top mountainous-like carapace of the creature, and I don't want to say screeches to a halt, but it stops advancing. And my question is, now that you've gotten the creature to stop, are you leaving the tractor beam on? Are you redirecting it somewhere else?
I would. I have a focus in electroplasma power systems. I would perhaps power it as much as possible.
Okay.
Since I mean, we don't have. We don't have any dimensions to go off of. So I would just probably overshoot.
Okay. I would say then we will. How do we want to do this? We'll say this. So by putting more power into the tractor beam, what happens is the creature is not like falling apart or anything, but you can tell that it definitely does not like the feel of the tractor beam, and it begins to rotate on the spot and begins heading back out into open waters. So for the moment, you have averted the crisis.
Captain, what you seem to have done seems to put a bandage on a very gaping wound for right now. Until we can figure out what this creature actually wants, we won't. This crisis is not averted.
What's the ETA until it reaches the water?
The ETA. Would I know the ETA?
Well, I mean, you could just do a visual look, and you could see that it's
visual.
heading away from the city. It's already in the water. It's going out to sea.
Okay. So for now, it's already in the water. It's already heading out to sea. But like I said, this is just a bandage to a very large gaping wound that will potentially be infected later on.
I agree, Lieutenant. Meanwhile, we'll bandage up in here, and you do the same for the city. Try to help in any way to restructure them and find the government. That general needs to talk to us, either by, well, he just needs.
Would also recommend, Captain, that we try to find the civilian government as well.
Yes. Well,
Governor
if I may, I would rather deal with the civilian government than have to deal with the militaristic government.
Well, I agree, and I think you should actually search for the civilian government then, and we'll try to contact the military once more and figure out what's happening. Maybe now they'll be more willing to talk to us.
All right.
Understood.
And with that, let's go ahead and take our break after the hour. So we will be back in 10 minutes, everybody. Stick around. All right, and welcome back to part 2 of session 1 of the Gangut. If you're just tuning in, the players have successfully averted not Godzilla from attacking a Saurian city. We've skipped just a little bit ahead, and what we have is the away team meeting in the office of Governor Turumshe, which is contained in one of the, of course, higher spires within the city. Now, Turumshe themselves is a crimson-hued Saurian, wearing a civilian sort of dress, if you will. But with them are 2 other Saurians. One has been already introduced, General Zotabia. That is the purple-hued Saurian, very stern-looking. But there's also a Saurian who's new, somewhere in between the red and the purple of the governor and the general, with basically dots around their cranium and up their skull. This is, as far as you have been introduced, this is Dr. Main High. And as everybody comes into the governor's office, it's a decent display. You know, it's got a nice view, has extra chairs and couches, very large, ornate wooden desk. Standard CEO type office. But as everyone gets situated, the governor just sort of sighs and says, "Right, I'm sorry, you were Commander Sovak?
Commander Sovak, Executive Officer of the U.S.S. Gangut.
Very good, Commander. As you can see, we have a large problem on our hands."
Is this the first time one of these attacks has happened to the city, Governor?
To this city, yes. To other cities, no. How to put this? The creatures, they appeared about 2-3 weeks ago, best we could tell, and have been attacking almost every city except for this one until now.
And does that 2 or 3 week time period coincide with any other events on the planet? Anything unusual? Any different programs that you may have launched? Any sort of natural phenomenon?
And the governor actually looks to Dr. Mainhai at this, and Dr. K. Mainhai says, "Well, it's interesting because there's no really rhyme or reason why they are attacking us, or frankly, where they're even coming from. We have been able to determine that they consume minerals and organic materials to reinforce their strong rock-like armor and internal skeletons, which makes the cities a prime target. But as I said, these came out of nowhere. We've been here for 40 years, and she kind of looks between the general and the governor, and the governor gives a very small nod while the general sort of shakes his head, and the doctor just sort of, kind of bites their lower lip and very hesitantly adds, "The biochemical analysis that we've been able to get so far suggests that the beasts are not native to the planet."
That's very interesting.
Let me ask this. Usually there's some sort of feeding of energy, even if it may seem random as such. What are you mining specifically, and what is the core source for your power plants?
We have standard issue fusion generators, so it's nothing. Oh, and this is the governor speaking, by the way. We have standard issue fusion generators, nothing too out of the ordinary. As far as mining goes, we actually don't do any mining here in the city. We do have some mining settlements out further into the continent, further inland, but those have been more or less ignored with these attacks. And at that, General Zotabia sort of crosses his arms across his chest and says, "Well, I think it's very clear that someone has brought them here to attack the colony, to drive us off.
Have you guys noticed, or did you guys notice that there was an orb that seemed to be protruding from the beast's head? Has that appeared on others?
And, the three Saurians look at each other, and Kamehameha finally says, now that you mention it, yeah, we have seen it on the larger creatures. The one that was attempting to attack the city today was the largest we've seen so far. But the smaller creatures don't have it, so why do the larger ones do?
What was the biggest one that you saw that did not have an orb? Guess an estimated size, at least.
Okay. So I'm going to answer this out of character because it's easier for me and I don't actually have to measure things. So the Gangut, for example, is a scale 4 vessel. If I remember the actual dimensions, it's like 400 meters by like 60 by whatever. The creature you repelled today was a scale 5, which means that it is larger than that. It is larger than the Gangut. The one that the doctor tells you about is a scale 3 creature. So something like a Nova class or a Defiant class, something of that size.
So the doctor would describe a creature that is about the same size as a Nova class that did not have an orb?
Correct.
Okay.
Lieutenant Pugal, which is in the room, is gonna say, but you've been only 40 years here, right? And the creatures have moss. I'm a trio, so 40 years for a trio, especially a joint trio, is nothing in our lifetime. So what you seem like forever for the creature could be just a quick nap. So you see, it's hard to believe that this creature is actually not native.
And the doctor sort of looks at Pugal and says, right. There's a lot of things that don't add up here. But based on what we know, I believe they could have come here either in egg form or in smaller form. They could have come here through panspermia, the act of coming through space to another world. Unfortunately, we haven't really found their quote-unquote hideaway in the mountains yet or out at sea, so we haven't been able to get conclusive scans and samples.
So they are always coming from the sea when they approach.
Well, the ones that are attacking the cities on the coastline, yes. The ones that are attacking the further inland cities are attacking from just the land.
So they seem to be both. So that they seem to thrive in the water and on land, which is interesting.
Correct.
Out of character. We have a general direction that this latest one went off in. Yes,
you do.
Okay, so
I would also presume that the ship would be tracking it somehow, right? Or the sensors that busted that they can't see it at all?
Yeah, the sensors are completely busted right now.
Okay.
Then we will likely need to grab a shuttle to try and track it down, which would also allow us to examine the orb if in this one or in any other one that we might see if it's a weakness or if it's maybe a control mechanism.
That's a nice idea. Thakaner, Commander, what do you think?
I would tend to concur. The more information we have about these creatures, the better we will be able to come to a correct decision.
General, question, if I may.
He sort of grunts, but pretty much gives like, yeah, go ahead.
Have you had any success with a specific energy type or a specific type of weapon in fending these creatures off?
Some of the smaller ones, yes, but I'm not quite ready to divulge all of our armament capabilities.
Just one that had a decent success rate would work in terms of possibly maybe taking a sample that we could return and do a more in-depth analysis.
And there's a moment of silence before he finally sighs and says, well, we have seen that phasers work if they're sufficiently powerful enough.
How sufficient would you say the power would need to be?
He gives a figure that would line up with, say, a shuttle phaser array.
But that could possibly kill a creature.
Do weapons like this seem to ward off the creatures, or do they have a lethal effect, General?
They've always just sort of, what is the human expression? Death by 1,000 cuts? No, that's not it. Stung by a bee? Nah. What I'm getting at is that the creatures just sort of shrug it off, and eventually it grows to a point where they're tired of it and they leave.
Interesting.
Okay.
It seems the shuttle theory is the most prudent at this action. It would allow us to get both more information on the creatures as well as, if necessary, defend the city again should the creature turn around.
Yes.
I do have one other question. Any shedding of the creature, any shedding of its rocks, any shedding of its outer shell that we could possibly be able to use for analysis?
And the doctor says, yes, actually, I brought a small container of it with me if you would care to bring it up to your ship and run analysis there.
Might be a good idea. Plus, we do need to return to the ship if we're going to take a shuttle and try and track it down.
Sounds like an excellent plan. Governor, General, Doctor, if you'll excuse us, I think we have a little bit of investigation to do. We'll, of course, keep communications open with you should we have anything to report.
And the governor sort of gives almost like a half courteous bow and says, of course, thank you again for responding to this matter.
We're Starfleet. This is what we're here for.
Once we get out of earshot,
one thing before earshot, I just want to say, Governor, keep your communication lines open. We might have to talk to you.
Of course. Really, the only reason that I had to cut communication is it's military protocol that all bandwidth or all frequencies are shifted to military-controlled ones in the moment of a crisis.
Well, I would argue that you might need to make a special exception for Gangut, because General, sorry, out of character. Sorry. Sorry. Metagaming, completely forgot.
Sovak, Cox has had a little bit because this sounds strange, according to Starfleet protocol at least, but then he has to remember that this is not a Federation planet.
All right.
Excellent.
So once we get out of earshot, I look to Commander. Commander, I still think there's information that we're not able to sufficiently access and that we're not able to get the entire story. look at the doctor, and then the way that she looked over to the governor in general, and then just sort of kept her head down indicates that there's something that we are not being told.
I would tend to agree, and the reliance on the military in this situation seems highly concerning to me, especially given the general's disposition and the information that the governor gave us regarding the communications channels. Something is strange on this planet, and I would like to consult the library computer on the ship to learn more.
Well, we've got the sample. We've got a decent plan. We'll just run it by the captain, see if he's got any input on a preference. But I figure as long as we have a trajectory and a search pattern, we should find it, as long as we are acting with some haste.
Agreed. And I flip open my communicator and call for transport.
All right.
And I give a live long and prosper to the governor.
Of course. They return it best they can. But as you beam away, we're just going to skip just a few minutes ahead. With all of you on the senior staff arriving in the briefing room to discuss what you have learned and what the computer has returned in terms of data. Now, I have given Ensign Van Ram already one handout to disseminate that way. I'm going to give Fig, I'm going to be giving you a handout to basically do the same. Yours is the analysis handout. But yeah, Captain, all of your senior staff are here. The briefing room is yours.
Thank
Captain,
you for...
Sorry,
go ahead.
No. Captain, I'll be blunt with it. I still think we're not being given information that we're not privy to, considering that the doctor was just shut down during our conversation.
Yes, I agree with you. I think we don't have enough information, but we do have another matter to attend that's also as pressing. Lieutenant, how are the repairs going on Gangut?
They are progressing quite well. I would say that the effects were noticeable, but we will at least spend a couple of days on the sensor and then deal with the damage as we go. Should be, couple days.
Okay. Well, that's a lot of time, and Gangut has really taken a toll, but at least we have diverted the creature without damaging it that much. And regarding the situation with the government, I believe they have not told us everything. I agree with you, Lieutenant. I think there's something wrong. I feel they could be try to exempt themselves of any guilt regarding some wrongdoing they might be doing down there. Because I've seen the creature. The more I look at it, the less I understand why. Why is it attacking the power plants? And I feel that there might be two courses of action to try to understand this. One is scanning the creature and trying to communicate with it, possibly. Or because it's not random. The behavior, it's not random. It might not be intelligent, but it's not randomly attacking cities. It's attacking cities that have power plants or energy sources. So the other course of exploration could be the power plant itself, the one that just received an attack, and what they might be doing there. How do you guys feel about this?
Oh,
If I
Lieutenant?
could, I would add on the analysis we ran on the rock beasts.
Yes.
Yes.
It does indeed seem that they were planted or sent to the planet. This is a species that, I mean, there's no other way such a number of them would be on Riku at the same time. And so it does seem like someone has brought them there, which also means that they could be controlled in one way or another.
Oh, what's their maturity period?
It doesn't. We don't really know, but it would probably be quite recent that they hatched.
To give a hint, Van Ram, this would be in your handout.
Great. Cool. Yeah. So as far as like other stuff that we know about these rock beasts, I found that the Enterprise discovered these organisms in 2269 on in an uncharted sector that is essentially adjacent to this planet, while pursuing an escaped felon, Harcourt Fenton Mudd. Apparently, the rock beasts themselves can essentially lay in a dormant state, and like I guess evade sensors. And the Enterprise itself encountered two different species: a crocodile-like quadruped that's like this one, and a species with more of a rounded, three-eyed head with a single set of like forelimbs that goes into like a tail. As far as dealing with these creatures, the Enterprise found that they're immune to phaser fire, but are susceptible to a chemical compound that Mudd was selling as a quote-unquote love potion. Effects of the potion essentially just gave a brief sense of euphoria followed by a longer period of depression and hostility. Fortunately, there isn't any record of the chemical structure, as most of the crystals used for it were destroyed. However, Mudd.
Sorry, there's no way that we can reverse synthesize this or reverse engineer it and then try to synthesize something here on the ship ourselves.
Unfortunately, we can't, because there's no the Enterprise wasn't able to like scan or like figure out what the like chemical like compound or structure of it was. However, Mudd reported quote unquote discovering the potion on Sirius 9, and found that it had an adverse effect on the planet's natives. And supposedly investigation showed no evidence that the compound was previously known to be on that planet.
You said, Ensign, that these compounds came in the form of a crystal of some type?
Yes.
Captain, the presence of mining settlements on the planet is quite interesting to me in correlation with that fact.
What could they be mining?
Could it be possible that these crystals are not native to this planet necessarily, or unique to this planet, but that the planet has deposits of them, and that they're being exploited for whatever reason by the Saurians?
Or they could be synthetically grown.
Yes, but the Ensign, does your report say how do they react to the crystal? How is it effective?
Let's see here. The Enterprise crews are two species. They're susceptible to the ingestion of the chemical compound. As far as like what the actual like effects, I can only assume are what the initial reported effects are, which are like a short term of euphoria followed by longer periods of depression and hostility, which may explain why it was going on a rampage towards the city. It might have been experiencing that like secondary effect on an amplified scale, because like I said, it is susceptible.
Ensign, does it say that the euphoria followed by the depression and hostility, does it say that it was an addictive? Was it addictive?
I have nothing to say if it was addictive or not.
Okay.
I would, I would suggest that since these attacks started happening recently, and it does seem like these beasts were brought to the planet intentionally, it would be my guess that someone is actually either perhaps giving them these chemicals or otherwise controlling them, and that these attacks are not the effect of the mining operation, but rather a deliberate attack by a third party.
Do we have any concrete evidence, anything empirical that would state that these creatures come from off-world or are otherwise being controlled by something? Word of the doctor, which seemed shaky at best.
Yeah. Our analysis suggests that since these creatures are on the planet, the attacks have been happening by several species of them. And when we ran the calculations, it actually seemed impossible that several species of them would somehow end up on the same planet at the same time and start attacking somewhat regularly from then. Usually these rock beasts are they are kind of blasted into space by asteroid impacts and then kind of drift around for millennia. So the trajectory required to bring so many beasts to the planet are close to impossible.
Understood. Thank you for that analysis, Lieutenant.
So it's impossible that they have been brought here?
No, it is impossible that they have ended up here by accident or are native to the planet.
Yes.
Riku.
Someone had to have brought them here.
Yeah.
And one has to consider what the motive would be of somebody who wants to unleash these creatures on the colony.
Greed is always a nice one.
Could be original natives of the planet that we haven't encountered before. I mean, if you think about it, in the 40 years that they've been here, that they have been settled here, they've been attacked multiple times by this rock beast. Wouldn't that indicate that there was some other beings that are here before them? 40 years is not a lot of time to be on the planet.
Well, the attacks only started 2 to 3 weeks ago, so it would likely be something that might have been discovered up to 2 months ago, in terms of the preparations and everything being needed.
Can I consult the library computer and like pull up the colony, like not the charter of the colony or anything like that, but like the colony records, why the colony was established, why they aren't part of the Federation, what their intended purpose is?
Yeah, you can pull that up, and I don't quite have a handout for this one, so I'll just have to tell you.
Cool.
So the colony was initially founded as sort of just a civilian venture. It was supposed to be just, the Saurians are expanding and the Saurians needed a good place to land, quote unquote. And based on the nature of the sun and the distance to the planet, it's optimal light conditions for them because, they have those big open eyes almost all the time. So the lower light is preferable. Um, in terms of why it's not maybe part of the Federation proper, again, what you're seeing is that it was deliberately a civilian Saurian venture rather than a, hey, Starfleet, let's go settle this planet kind of a thing.
And do the records indicate like the major players of that time? Like, is the governor currently, like, is it the same person that was involved with the colony, or is she elected? What's that look like?
Interestingly, if you look at such records, what you see is that it's not the governor who is sort of behind the scenes working that deal, but their predecessor, their parent, was. So this is almost what is that, first or is it second generation leadership going on right now?
Interesting. Is there any data in the library computer on the general?
Now that is something that will require a roll. I would like you to roll me a reason security, difficulty of 2.
Can I assist?
If you tell me how.
Let's see. I could possibly use. Hold on. Let's see. It would be my negotiation focus on like maybe finding some specific like wording on like the what's the word? Like mentions of military actions.
Mm-hmm. I'll let it happen. You would assist with 1 reason security.
And can I, or would Starfleet protocol apply since I'm searching a Starfleet database?
I'll let it happen, sure.
Okay.
All right, that's already 2 successes.
Okay.
Hey, 3 successes, which you get a point of momentum. So again, don't quite have a handout for this one. So again, I'll just have to tell you. So what you find in the database is that something very interesting in the governor's history, or not the governor, the general's history. Apparently, when they were young, they were very, shall we say, politically active. And they expressed some sentiments that matched up with a radical environmentalist group that is known as Destroy All Cities. That is literally the name of this group, is Destroy All Cities.
In every language.
Well, that's what it translates to anyway. What you know about the DAC is that they are an offshoot of a Saurian sect called the quote-unquote Untainted. And the Untainted believe that the Saurians should only rely on their natural abilities instead of technology, and that civilization should not be allowed to disrupt a planet's natural ecology. So basically, and this is really stereotyping, they're the Amish, if that makes any sense. They are literally the Saurian Amish.
Or radical Saurian Amish at this case.
There you go, yeah.
I guess we should not Do we know if we could find a DAC headquarters somewhere on that planet?
Well, as a quote-unquote radical group, they don't really have a known location where they gather.
But they belong to this Untainted movement. Is the movement something that's more public? Like, would there be a temple or something like that?
Now, the Untainted movement on Saria, the homeworld, like, yeah, maybe they've got a few buildings, maybe hell, even maybe they have a church or something equivalent to the such. But on a colony like this, they don't have such a thing. In fact, they were very much against the colonization of Riku to begin with.
Interesting. So we have a high-ranking military official on a planet who previously belonged to a sect that was stringently opposed to the colonization of this planet. That sounds vaguely like a motive to me, Captain.
Is there?
Yes, it does sound like a motive. So we have creatures that were brought in here, and they could be controlled by a specific substance that it's a crystal, and we have seen a crystal in the creature, and the general is possibly in cahoots. So yeah, it does seem like a motive, Sovak.
We also
What do
know
you
that
think
there are mining
should do?
settlements
Mhm.
that could perhaps be harvesting the crystal. I don't think the library computer probably says anything about like who runs the settlements, right? Are they government? Are they
Nah.
private? No.
Nah, none of that.
Okay, so we do have the crystal name. Okay. And we could contact the government or send someone to make some sort of assessment in site to figure out if that's the crystal they are actually mining. And if that's so, we could use the crystal to possibly ward off beasts' attacks if they happen, while we deal with the general. And for that, well, what do you think? Should we confront him head on or try to figure out his plan first?
If we confront him head on, then we probably lose. Then we probably lose any ability to continue investigations.
I concur,
then-
Lieutenant.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm not sure how to proceed. Do you think sending an away party to the Untainted would be advisable? That could scare them off even more.
Well, I mean,
Well-
the option is still there for us to take a shuttle and attempt to track this most recent beast.
I think that would probably be the best course of action. Let's track where, even though it may have gone into the ocean, there could be pattern of movement that we could follow it back, maybe to another landmass or something like that.
If these creatures are being controlled, it would stand to reason that somebody is observing them somehow. Is there, Lieutenant Thickenner, do we think we can conceal a shuttle in some way from sensors? Assuming some bad actor out there is watching these creatures more closely than we can.
Let's see. It's possible, but we would it would need to be probably disguised as a possible like tourist instead of a more Starfleet design. I don't know. I mean, maybe taking a look at the designs of any of the Saurian shuttles might be a good idea to see how closely their shuttles and Starfleet shuttles compare, at least on the outside.
I mean, if we could go about the simple way, we remove any Starfleet insignia from our own shuttle, change some of the signatures that we are putting out to look more like what a tourist ship would look like, and just go from there. I mean, we don't necessarily have to refit an entire shuttle to look like a different civilization.
We could configure the shuttle to scan for the crystals and run a close to the ground scan on that, because the drug first starts off euphoric and then it falls into violence. So while the person needs to be could be controlling the creature with the crystal, they need to apply the crystal beforehand, at least some time beforehand. So when the attack is happening, the perpetrator is already far away.
I think we might need to split into two different groups for this. One attempting to track the creature itself, and another trying to investigate like a energy source for the or an energy composition, maybe
The
for the
mining
crystal.
operations. Because the mining operations could be holding up the crystal, and that's the focal point of power for these creatures.
If I may,
So, go ahead.
If we are planning to track this creature, we'll probably seismic activity will be difficult to track through water. We'll have to probably remodulate some of the seismic sensors in order to be able to track it through water easier, and to be able to filter out any excess noise and only focus on the creature's movements.
Mm-hmm. Well, we do have a sample of the creature.
Of one of the creatures. So if there's anything specific, we could recalibrate them.
Distinguishable from land, from earth, from rock?
Do we have what the
Not yet. No, that is something you would have to actually like run through the computer, run some experiments on, things of that nature.
Okay.
But let me put it this way. So usually we are coming up on the 2-hour mark. I anticipate that we would be going for another 1.5 to 2 hours to finish this adventure. So let me put this out there. Would people be okay with us pausing here and then picking right back up and making this a 2-parter next Friday?
Sure.
I wouldn't be against it. Sure.
All right, cool. Let's do that then.
Back.
So this is where I'm going to end the stream. So Twitch, YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you are excited to see the resolution of this not Godzilla problem. You will see these lovely people next Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Until then, live long and prosper. Bye, stream.